Hi, my name is Amber. Welcome back to my channel, Books and Beaches. So, believe it or not, May is flying by and it is already time to talk about June's book releases. So, June has so many good books coming out. It was so hard for me to limit the books that I wanted to talk about because there's just so many good ones. So I am gonna actually kind of break up my filming, which is something that I've never done before, just because if I try to talk about these all in one take, it would just kind of be a bit of a nightmare. So I am gonna go day by day. So if my video seems a little bit choppier than normal, that is why. I just wanna make sure I'm hitting each day and giving it, the time that it needs. And then hopefully, my actual camera won't die on me or run out of storage because the actual footage will be a little bit shorter, which makes editing a little bit easier as well. So our first release date in June is June 4th. And we have quite a few of these books coming out on June 4th. And the very first one being Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan. And now I believe I have this one on NetGalley. Not only am I behind in filming, I am behind in reading, but this one, it says it's going to be the romantic and hilarious story of a professional organizer whose life is a mess, and the summer she gets unstuck with the help of someone unexpected from her past. And Annabelle Monaghan wrote Nora Goes Off Scribd and one other book, I believe, I can't remember, I read it last summer, and now, same time next summer. I liked that one. So, like normal, I'm going to keep these short and sweet, but I will always link them below if you are interested in checking more out about them. But looking forward to that one coming out there. The next one that I found is one by an author that I think a lot of people really liked previously. Trying to think of the last time I read a book by this author, but this is Shelterwood, and this is by Lisa Wingate. And this says, this is going to explore a centuries-long legacy of missing child cases. It's going to be a portrayal of the region's history, culture, and landscape. And Publishers Weekly is saying that she is going to be at the top of her game. Lisa Wingate is. So looks like we are going to be in Oklahoma in 1909 and Oklahoma in 1990. So, multiple timelines, historical fiction. I really liked Before We Were Yours by Lisa Wingate. So I am looking forward to picking this one up. And anybody want to keep tallies on how many times I say that in this video? So I know I say it so many times every time I do these. So the next one that I found coming out is actually a nonfiction pick for June 4th, and that is When the Sea Came Alive. It's an oral history of D-Day, and this is by Garrett M. Graff, who was the author of probably one of the best audiobooks slash nonfiction books I have ever read, and that is The Only Plane in the Sky. And so this is going to be it says it's going to be the most up-to-date and complete account of D-Day, the largest seaborne invasion in history and the moment that secured the Allied victory in World War II. So, not going to go into too much detail there, but if it is anywhere near as good as the audiobook that they had for The Only Plane in the Sky, I will definitely be checking this one out because that was, top 5 of my lifetime audiobooks that I've ever listened to. All right, after that, I found one that is called The Unwedding, and this is by Ali Condi. It was compared to White Lotus meets Agatha Christie, and it says it is going to be a recent divorcee's exclusive Big Sur resort vacation. Always get me with the vacation story. And her vacation is going to unravel when she discovers a dead body on the day of a wedding in this clever, witty, and fast-paced whodunit. So it's kind of a way to catch my attention. So there's that one for you. All right, after that, I see that there is another book coming out in what I guess is going to be a trilogy. And this is Leather and Lark, the Ruinous Love Trilogy. This is book number 2. And now, of course, I cannot... Butcher and Blackbird was the first one. And this is by Bryn Weaver. I have not read these, obviously. but I've been hearing a lot about it. I feel like I see it posted a lot on Goodreads. I don't want to read too much into this one, just in case you need to read the first one in order to read this one. But it says it's a genre-breaking TikTok sensation. And it's a hate to love dark romantic comedy packed with anger, chaos, and heat. So if that is your thing, that definitely sounds like it could be interesting. All right, next up then. And this one I feel like I've heard Audrey at Chapter and Converse talk about before. And this is Such a Bad Influence, and this is by Olivia, I think it's Minter or Munter. And so, and this is probably why Audrey has talked about it. It says for fans of Ashley Winstead, Jessica Knoll, and Joe Piazza, which I've not heard of that one, but an electric debut thriller about what happens when one of the first child stars of the social media age group grows up and goes missing. I don't want to know too much more. I don't want to read into that. As you know, I say it every time. I don't want to know too much going into my thrillers. I think sometimes even the descriptions like spoil too much for us. So I'm going to leave it at that. I am almost positive I've heard Audrey say really good things about this one because I want to say she had an arc. So I'm going to close that tab out and just, put that one on my list. And then finally on June 4th, I have a YA pick, and this is Eris Takes All, and it looks like this is going to be a series. This is by Emily Wimberly and Austin Sigmund Broca. And this one caught my eye because it was compared to the Inheritance Game series and Ocean's 11. And it's going to be a thrilling adventure about a teenager determined to pull off the perfect heist in the middle of her father's wedding. So, sounded interesting to me. I think the cover's kind of interesting too. So, had added to my list, and there's always going to be a few YAs in here. So those are all the books I found coming out on June 4th. And like I said, I'm going to split this one up today. So my next clip will be telling you about the books coming out on June 11th. All right, so our next release date in June is June 11th. And June 11th is actually my birthday. So some of these books may end up being birthday presents to myself. So the very first book that I found out coming out on June 11th would be The Rom-Commers by Catherine Sender, and I'm pretty sure I have this one on NetGalley. And this one says the one I clicked on Amazon is featuring sprayed edges, which is kind of cool. But it says this is going to be the next laugh out loud, feel good rom-com about writing your own story. So it says she's rewriting his love story, but can she rewrite her own? So looks like our main character is going to want to be a screenwriter. She spent her life studying, obsessing over, and writing romantic comedies, and good ones. They win contests, but she's also been the sole caretaker for her kind-hearted dad who needs full-time care. So now she is going to get a chance to rewrite a script for a famous screenwriter named Charlie Yates. And that's like her personal writing god. And now I remember, and I think this is going to be kind of like, oh gosh, what was that movie? Like 27 Dresses, kind of that theme. So I don't want to read too much into this because I think I do have this one on NetGalley, but as always, I will link it below. So next up, we have the long-anticipated third book in the Housemaid series by Frida McFadden. And I won't read too much into this one just in case you haven't read the Housemaid series, but I highly suggest you do. And so it says it's going to be a twisting, pulse-pounding thriller from Frida McFadden. And it will be the third in the series. So definitely check those out if you haven't already. Like I said, some birthday presents to myself maybe here. Next up, we have Swan Song by Ellen Hilderbrand. And I believe I don't know if this is going to be her actual last novel or just the last novel in her Nantucket series or / world. So I have to get clarification on that one. But it says the New York Times bestseller brings her Nantucket novels, okay, so maybe it is just her Nantucket novels, to a brilliant finish when rich strangers move to the island, social mayhem, and possible murder follow. Can Nantucket's best locals save the day and their way of life? So I don't want to read too much more into it. I love a good Ellen Hilderbrand novel. I think they're great. And I really do hope this isn't like the end of Ellen Hildebrand and just the end of the Nantucket novels. So we shall see. All right, after that, we have The Paris Widow, and this is by Kimberly Bell. This one says it is going to be a dream vacation turns deadly. Keywords for me there. When secrets from the past catch up to a married couple in Paris in this new edge of your seat thriller. So yeah, I don't want to know too much more. Like I said, with thrillers, I don't need to know too much. So, but it will be linked below. We have another book coming out from Allie Hazelwood, and that is Not in Love. Now, Allie Hazelwood just isn't an essay or an author for me, but I know she's very popular, so I always want to make sure to include her in this list. And this says it's going to be a forbidden secret affair, proves that all's fair in love and science, from New York Times bestseller Allie Hazelwood. And so I think this is going to be another like science and STEM based novel, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it looks like, I think, yeah, she's a biotech engineer. So definitely going to get like that, you know, science, STEM idea in there. So that's pretty cool. All right, next up. Now this one was more of an obscure one that I don't even remember where I heard about this one. But this is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. And it says when a teenager vanishes from her Adirondack summer camp, two worlds collide. Now I remember why I put this one on my list. If you're new around here, summer camp is a huge buzzword for me, especially when it comes to being in a thriller. I love a summer camp setting for my thrillers. So yeah, this definitely, that was the whole reason that this one caught my eye. And it looks like we are going to be based in August of 1975. I am not going to read too much more into this one. But yes, that is for sure why this one made my list. After that, we have One of Our Kind, and this is by Nicola Yoon. If I'm remembering right, I think this is her first venture into adult writing. Correct me if I'm wrong. It says a hotly anticipated and endlessly provocative new thriller of race and privilege set in an all-Black gated community. It says your book club will be discussing this one for days. And that's a quote from Jodi Picoult. I love a good book that's going to make our book club have a great discussion. So, like I said, I don't like reading too much into these, but it does say this is going to be thrilling with insightful social commentary, and it's going to explore ways in which freedom is complicated by the presumptions we make about ourselves and each other. So, sounds like it could be like a great book club book. So, there is that one. All right, after that, we have the newest release from Peter Swanson, and that is A Talent for Murder. And this, it's quoted by Liv Constantine as being a clever, ingenious, edge-of-your-seat thriller that will flip your expectations upside down. And I do apologize, all of my notifications on all of my devices seem to be going off during this clip today. We have a newlywed librarian begins to suspect the man she married is a murderer. And it's going to be twisty and devious and clever. And yeah, it says no murder is by the book. So I have, for the most part, enjoyed everything I've read by Peter Swanson so far. So this one will for sure go on the list. Well, it's already on the list. Next up, we have What Fire Brings, and this is by Rachel Housel Hall. It's a mouthful of a name to say. And it says, a writer's search for her missing friend becomes a real-life thriller in this twisting novel of suspense. So I think that's why it caught my eye. I wanted to add it to my list. I don't think I've ever read anything by Rachel Housel Hall, but I feel like one of her books is one that I've seen. Yes, These Toxic Things. I haven't read it, but I see it frequently. So if anybody has any opinions about her as a writer, let me know in the comments below. and then whether or not I should bump this up higher on the list. And then last but certainly not least, coming out on June 11th, we have One Last Summer, and this is by Kate Spencer. And it says, and Kate Spencer is apparently the co-host of an award-winning Forever 35 podcast. And this is going to be a dreamy, laugh-out-loud summer romance that asks, what do you do when the life you've planned isn't what you dreamed? Ooh, so it's an interesting take on kind of I'm a loss for words, but I like this premise. And it says, Claire Millen's life is spiraling out of control. Her dream job is a nightmare. She's resoundingly single, and it's been years since she's taken some time off. Thankfully, the last problem she can fix, this year she'll join her friends on their annual summer vacation to their beloved childhood sleepover camp for a much-needed escape. There it is. Summer camp. So I will probably definitely at least be checking this one out to see a little bit more about it. But that could be a romance. That might actually be up my alley. So those are all the books that I found coming out on June 11th. All right, we're back with the third release date in June, and that is June 18th. And boy, do we have some big books coming out on this day. So we have The Middle of the Night by Riley Sager, probably one of my most anticipated books of the entire year. I mean, every summer we've been lucky enough to have a Riley Sager book come out, and this says it is the latest jaw-dropping thriller from Riley Sager, and this is going to be a man must contend with the long ago disappearance of his childhood best friend and the dark secrets lurking just beyond the safe confines of his picture perfect neighborhood. So, and if I'm remembering correctly, I'm pretty sure they've said that this is the first time that Riley Sager has featured a man in his books and not a female. So kind of interesting there, but I'm not going to read too much more into it. I like to go into a Riley Sager pretty blind, like all of my other thrillers. So there's that one. And then following that one, we have The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley. So another author that I really enjoy reading. And this one says, secrets, lies, murder. Let the festivities begin. Sharp, stylish, and stunning. This could be Lucy Foley's best yet. Harper's Bazaar is saying it's everything you want in a thriller. Ooh, they're calling it Agatha Christie for the Instagram age. Interesting. This is going to be a deliciously twisty new locked room mystery. I love a locked room mystery. And let's see. It says it's opening night of the manor and no expense, small or large, has been spared. The infinity pool sparkles, crystal pouches for guests healing have been placed on the seaside cottages and woodland hutches, and the Manor Mule cocktail, grapefruit, ginger, vodka, and a dash of CBD oil, is being poured with a heavy hand. Everyone is wearing linen. But let's see. Ooh, and then a body's been discovered. So almost maybe like a little bit, I mean, locker room mystery always kind of feel like a little bit of a clue, like a game of Clue. But it says the founder, the husband, the mystery guest, the kitchen help. Like, who is it going to be? It all began with a secret 15 years ago. Now the past has crashed the party, and it'll end in murder at the midnight feast. So, definitely interested. All right, after that, we have another anticipated book, coming out, and that is The Next Mrs. Parrish. Now, I have not read the first book in this series, and so I do not want to spoil myself at all for this one. I will obviously for sure link it below for anybody that wants to read more into this, but I have the first book in this series, which is The Last Mrs. Parrish, on my Kindle right now. I may even end up reading it this weekend, so I don't even want to look at the description of this one because I don't want to spoil myself for anything. So, but just know it's coming out on June 18th. After that, we have one that I don't even remember where I found this one, but this is Lula Dean's Little Library of Banned Books, and this is by Kristen Miller. So, it says it's going to be the provocative and hilarious summer read that will have book lovers cheering and everyone talking. Now, Kristen Miller wrote The Change, but they said this is going to be A bracing, wildly entertaining satire about a small southern town, a pitched battle over banned books, and a little lending library that changes everything. So I thought that sounded super cute, and probably just a fun, summer read when I need a little bit of a break from all the thrillers that I like to read. So looking forward to that one. After that, we have One Star Romance, and this is by Laura Hankin. Now, I have not read anything, I don't believe, by Laura Hankin, but I know she's got quite a few books out there. And this says it's going to be a struggling writer is forced to walk down the aisle at her best friend's wedding with the man who gave her book a very public 1-star rating. And it's going to be a romantic comedy. So that could be quite interesting. So added that one to the list. And then finally on June 18th, and like I always say, this is by no means an extensive list, but just the ones that caught my eye, is The Memo. And this is by Rachel Dodds and Lauren Meckling. And this is going to be a funny, fascinating exploration of love, friendship, ambition, and what it truly means to live a good life. It says, if you could rewrite your life story, would you dare? That's the question at the heart of this charming and propulsive debut novel about love, life, and a woman finding herself and what it means to be happy and successful. So I love featuring a good debut, and this one just sounded, very interesting. So had to add that one to the list. So those are the books that I found coming out on June 18th. So we have one more release date to discuss. All right, we are at our final release date for June, and that is June 25th. So, first book that I found is Two Sides to Every Murder, and this is by Danielle Valentine. I want to say this one is YA. Excuse me. It's going to be a thriller, obviously, about two teens who return to Camp Lost Lake. Lots of summer camp ones in this June list. The site of a cold case that sealed their fates. So it says it's a must-read for fans of true crime, dark family secrets, and intricate mysteries. But it says most people's births aren't immortalized in a police report, but Olivia was born during the infamous Camp Lost Lake murders. 17 years later, Olivia's life looks pretty perfect until she discovers the man she calls dad is not her biological father. Now she wants answers about her bloodline, and the only place she knows to look is at Camp Lost Lake. And looks like we are also going to get a character named Reagan. She is on the run with an alleged murderer. It says, in the court of public opinion, her mom was found guilty of the deaths at Camp Lost Lake, and both of them have been in hiding ever since. But Reagan believes in her mother's innocence and is determined to clear her name. So luckily for Olivia and Reagan, Camp Lost Lake is finally reopening, providing the perfect opportunity to find answers. But someone else is dead set on keeping the past hidden, even if it means committing murder. So we've got that one. We have a novel love story, and this is by Ashley Poston. Now, I was not a huge fan of a couple of the short stories that I've read by Ashley Poston, but I know she is quite the popular author, so I wanted to include. And this says, a professor of literature finds herself caught up in a work of fiction, literally. And let's see. It says, Eileen Merriweather loves to get lost in a good happily ever after, the fictional kind anyway, because at least imaginary men don't leave you at the altar. Ouch. She feels safe in a book at home, which might be why she's so set on going her annual book club retreat this year. It's missing a word in there. She needs good friends, cheap wine, and a grand romantic gestures no matter what. But when her car unexpectedly breaks down on the way, she finds herself stranded in a quaint town that feels like it's right out of a novel, because it is. Oh, and I'm pretty sure, I think it ends up being out of her favorite, romance novel or something. So we've got that one. All right. Then we also have All of the Colors of the Dark, and this is by Chris Whitaker. It says, this is going to be a soaring thriller and an epic love story that spans decades. It's 1975 is a time of change in America. The Vietnam War is ending. Muhammad Ali is fighting Joe Frazier. And in the small town of Montclair, Missouri, girls are disappearing. Ooh. So it says, this novel is about what lurks in the shadows of obsession and the blinding light of hope. So, could be an interesting one. After that, we have a new book from Beatrice Williams, who I know is a very popular historical fiction writer. And this is called Husband and Lovers. It says, two women separated by decades and continents and united by an exotic family heirloom reclaim secrets and lost loves in this sweeping novel. So yeah, it looks like we're based in New England in 2022 and Cairo in 1951. So I don't want to read too much more into it, but we'll have that one. All right, after that, we have Tangled Up in You, and this is another new release by Christina Lauren, and they did just have one come out, The Paradise Problem, back in April. And this must be part of the Meant to Be series, but it says a witty and deeply romantic modern reimagining of Disney's Tangled. It's going to be part of the acclaimed and best-selling Meant to Be collection. There we go, there's the answer. So it says, I dare you not to fall wildly in love with Wren and Fitz. Christina Lauren is a writing duo. They're national treasure. That's a quote from Jesse Sutanto. It says, she has a dream, he has a plan, together they'll take a leap of faith. So I don't want to read too much more into that one, but could be really cute. After that, we have A Happier Life, and this is by Christy Woodson Harvey. And I mean, you throw a beach picture on a cover, you know, no matter what genre it is, you're going to catch my attention. It says, this is going to be a tender and touching novel about a young woman who discovers the family she has always longed for when she spends a life-changing summer in North Carolina. So kind of all I wanted to know about that one, but like I said, the beach picture, you know, drew me in, and I've never read anything, I don't think, by Christy Woodson Harvey, but they've all looked pretty interesting to me. So there's that one. And then finally, the last one I found coming out on June 25th is Love Letters to a Serial Killer. And this is by Tasha Coriel. It says, an aimless young woman starts writing to an accused serial killer while he awaits trial, and then, once he's acquitted, decides to move in with him and take the investigation into her own hands in this dark and irresistibly compelling debut thriller. Yeah, that's all I wanted to know. So that one for sure caught my eye. What an interesting idea for a thriller. So those are all the books that I have found coming out in the month of June. Are there any other books that caught your eye coming out in the month of June? Let us know in the comments below. What do you plan on picking up? Were any of these ones that you think you are definitely looking forward to? You can also let us know in the comments below. As always, if you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.